Hola and welcome to Slowpoke Travel. Cuenca to Guayaquil. No, not Guayaquil. Cuenca to Guayaquil. Private shuttle and Guayaquil to Cuenca. It's just one person's going to be this here.
$140, yeah.
Yeah. So you're paying 70 something a person, or almost 70, and it goes down. If you have more people, the price goes down. But this is an option if you want to travel. I'll have a link to this company down below and some other links as well. Or you can look at flights. These are flights from Guayaquil to Cuenca. Look at that, $68.
That's really low right that moment.
That's real, but then it goes up to $190 and blah blah blah. But you can see these don't include luggage. So once you factor luggage in there, and I don't think they run every day. But this video isn't about the shuttle. This video isn't about the airplane. This video is about the bus. Because we took the bus. We took the bus from Guayaquil to Cuenca. And this video is mostly going to be footage of what we saw along the way. Because we didn't take any footage in the bus station. We got from Guayaquil to Cuenca for less than $20.
For both of us.
And it took about 5 hours.
Because there was a delay. Yeah, there was there was an accident on the road.
Yeah, but it was a good deal.
And it was comfortable.
But this is going to be mostly footage shot along the way on our bus trip. In fact, Camera Girl and I will look at the footage while we're talking about it and see what's going on. But what happened? So we got up. We didn't buy our bus tickets in advance. We just decided on the day that we were going to go. We just went to the bus station. We went there pretty early in the morning. I think we got an Uber and we got there probably around 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it wasn't that. Yeah. 8:39. Yes.
Yeah, and we had a plan. We had a company that we were going to buy our bus ticket from. And that didn't work out because when we went there, we finally found where this company was supposed to be selling bus tickets, and it was, I don't know, they were suspended. They had this big, they had this letter posted, and it sounded like...
Yeah, they hadn't paid their rent on their stall.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't, but we saw the buses. They were still, other companies were using the buses.
Yeah.
It was a little more chaotic.
Oh my God, that bus station was a madhouse.
Well, it wasn't just that. When I was researching online, which companies, it wasn't as straightforward. It was just interesting. They didn't have all the current information, but all of the buses that go from one city to the other are along one big corridor. I mean, once you find that, because this bus station is also a mall.
Yeah, it's ginormous. It's packed full of people. There are multiple floors.
Oh, yeah. But it's the bottom floor, and it's tucked away. Anyway, but there's like 100 bus stations, 100
bus companies.
And they each have their windows, and they have, do you call
barkers?
Them barkers.
So there are people, as you're walking down through this row where they sell the bus tickets, people are hollering at you and trying to get you to come to their little bus kiosk, to buy a bus ticket to wherever. Manta, Loha, Villa Cabamba, blah, 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 just throwing out all these city names at you.
And walking along with you. And
yeah.
So that was a little different than we've experienced in other bus stations. But once the company we thought we were going to go with wasn't available, in fact, we've already shown our breakfast.
Well, no, I'll move that around. Yeah. Because we got in there and immediately our plans fell through because
which happens,
but that's what we had researched. We had researched for this outfit. We knew how much, we thought it was going to be a good bus company to go with.
Right.
We thought the ticket price was going to be good. So that was our plan. So when we got there, and immediately our plan didn't work out. So now we had to go find a different place to sit down and figure out, the next best option. Because we didn't just want to jump on a bus that some guy was saying, hey, get on this bus, get on this bus.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not much of a recommendation, just random guy telling you.
Exactly. But what also helped is they did have an information booth.
Did that help?
Yes. I always have things written out since my Spanish is so terrible. So I had some things written out and was able to show it to her, and she was able to tell us which kiosk to go to because we'd already walked by it. It was like, no, that company is Alliance, and we were looking for Supra, blah, blah. And
who knows what company we were going for, but we ended up going with this outfit called Alliance. And then we ended up getting on a bus that had the same name of the company that we thought we were going to go on.
No, it had a different name. It was the Sucre Express, or Express Sucre. Yeah, so it was different too. So all of that was very different. But again, people were nice. We ended up finding what we needed to find. But yeah, it was a little harder to navigate, and the things I could find online were just not quite as straightforward and as current as when we were playing around with the buses in Mexico. Even the metro buses in Chile, I could figure out a little more easily. Of course, it can be partly, user error.
Oh, for sure, user error, because our Spanish is quite inadequate, although we make do. We get through. But we went to this big ass bus station.
That's also a mall.
Yeah. And it was just crazy busy. We didn't pull out our cameras or do anything inside the bus station because we didn't feel comfortable, because there's a lot of security, there's a lot of all kinds of stuff and people, and we just don't want to be random gringos, wandering around with our cameras out. And I think they might not want you to do that kind of stuff.
Well, I think while we were there on the coast, we had several folks say, right now, unfortunately, it's, we have more challenges here. And so, you don't want to stand out.
Yeah, a number of folks in Guayaquil told us, to be on our toes, and, I don't know, it made us a little bit apprehensive. And now that we're in Cuenca, a number of people have told us, that Guayaquil is experiencing some crime problems and along the coast.
Significant. So. But the thing is, I think some of that is happening all over the world after the pandemic. And we talked to someone in Seattle that said, it's up here too, and New Orleans and Chicago.
Still, you don't want to hear that. I mean, here in Cuenca, we haven't had the same level of concern.
No, I mean, we still, you want to be careful. People could pickpocket or do this or that.
Sure.
You want to have safety. But
we didn't actually have any issues down there, but boy, when everybody and their mother's telling you.
Well, but we also didn't roam around like we normally do.
Yeah, that's true.
But this bus ride, so after all of that, they do try to cluster areas that are going to the same locations together. That was also helpful. And as it turns out, the barker who had initially tried to get us to, he said, Cuenca? And when he saw that we were at the one kiosk that had been closed, he was trying to get us to go. And that ended up being the place we needed to go. But as you said, Buck, we just said, let us just go sit down, get a bite to eat, and then we'll figure this out. Yeah. But we ended up getting something to eat, and we had some Wi-Fi challenges too, but we ended up on a bus by 11:15.
Yes, we ended up getting on a bus, pretty much the only bus we could figure out how to get on. So we went to the bus station with a plan. The plan fell apart, but we still muddled through it after sitting around some bus station Tigrillo, because we've been eating a ton of Tigrillo. And does this Tigrillo look good to you? It was $9. And, it wasn't as good as the bus station food in Mexico.
Oh, you are so funny.
But it worked.
Well, but we were also a little bit under the weather, and things happen. True. And but it was a nice. They had plenty of places to sit. They had a large, I'm going to call it a food court. Like in some malls.
It's like a mall.
Yeah. It was.
So the bus station was an interesting experience.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it worked out for us.
But we were not on a chicken bus. That was our other concern, is we'd sort of gotten spoiled by Mexican buses. And so I was trying to get us on.
We took some long bus trips in Mexico, and we loved them. It was probably some of the best travel that we've ever had as far as leg room and comfort and price. We sort of felt
scenery.
Spoiled.
Yes.
And the scenery on this trip was really interesting and lovely too. And that's mostly what this video is going to be, is just some of the sights that we saw along the bus trip. It was very comfortable, and it had assigned seats. You know, so when we looked and bought our tickets, the lady asked us what seats we wanted. So we got 1 and 2 right up front. You know, there's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are the front seats. Now in Mexico, when we got those seats, you know, it'd be kind of like a double-decker bus, and you were almost like in a little dome, kind of
above the driver.
Yeah, sort of like a Jurassic Park safari feel to it. Whereas in this one here, you know, if you get those front seats, you still don't get to see a lot because, you know, they've got the partition between you and the driver. There's just not a great view in the front.
But you had more leg room.
You did have more leg room in the front, which is one of the reasons we wanted to get it, so that we could put our bags with us. We didn't want to put our bags down below. We travel light. We've got a super small bag. Everything fits in the bag. It's compact. We've got everything that we're traveling with, we have with us, and it's small. And we do that because we can, because that's our traveling style, but also because we can always have it with us, so we don't have to worry about, you know, putting our bags somewhere, you know, like on flights and traveling and getting somewhere and our bags not being with us. Because we work, you know, with the stuff in our bag too, so we don't want to be separated from it because we use it every day.
And again, this is anywhere, but again, we heard it more often here, and don't put your bag on the floor.
Yeah, well, I mean, you always want to be aware of your stuff wherever you're at.
And these buses, this was a little different. Several times the bus would stop in little villages, and people would come on to sell jewelry, prayer beads.
Well, they wouldn't just come on to sell
and the
something.
Food.
They would come on, and then it would be like a what's the shopping network? What is that?
The QFC.
The QFC, like shopping show?
Not QFC, but anyway.
I don't know what it is, but you know, like
QVC.
QVC or whatever kind of, you know, like they would come onto the bus and they would stand in front of the bus and then they would like do a sales pitch.
Yes.
You know, for 10 or 15 minutes holding up all these kinds of items. It might be food, it might be some kind of a purse.
And the bus would keep going. So these people would make their sales pitch and they would go back and forth on the bus until you get to, say, the next village. And a couple of times they just asked the bus driver to stop between villages. It was just, that was different as well.
Yeah, because we're used to people coming on the bus just for a moment and trying to sell you something to drink or something to eat.
At the very beginning of it, before the bus takes off.
But this was all along the trip. It happened multiple times where people would come on board and hawk their wares, which was kind of entertaining and amusing and helped to pass the time. You know, there was a kid, you know, a couple seats over playing very loud video games. You know, there's ladies talking. There's just the sounds of the bus. The bus driver up front is playing music. You know, you can hear other people's music on their headphones. And then overhead they start playing Fast and Furious 9 or whatever the hell.
That's right, they had a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it is a cacophony of sounds. So it is a lot of noise. But I mean, that's just Latin America. No, it wasn't bad because we are in the right frame of mind, because we don't expect it to be quiet, or I don't expect it to be quiet anymore. And I try not to have expectations, because you can't, you know, things aren't going to be the way that you think they're going to be. I think that's a great attitude to have when traveling in general, but especially in traveling in Latin America, and especially where noise and just your interaction with other people.
But the other thing about these folks that were selling things on the bus is a couple of them, part of their spiel was they would sort of throw something at you and you sort of thought, oh, this is part of the bus ride. Like they would, like they're giving you a gift, a candy or whatever, and they'd start at the front of the bus and they'd go down, but then they would come back and they would want you to pay them. So this isn't...
If anybody gives you anything, unless you want to buy it, then you just say no gracias. So.
Exactly. Where, again, on a couple of the Mexican bus trips, they gave you, as you were getting on the bus, water, a sandwich, cookies.
Yeah.
And that was just part of your ticket.
Yeah, that's a VIP.
Yeah, it was.
trips in Mexico, and I don't know if they have that kind of thing here in Ecuador, but I don't.
I think they
didn't see
did.
it, you know.
No.
On the
yes,
bus
yes,
for the regular little bus thing.
I think.
Then why weren't we on that? I wanted a sandwich and a cookie and a lunch.
Yeah, I tried to get us an Ezectivo bus.
Yeah.
And that had been recommended. But yeah, that's where I was saying is it just, it was a little more difficult.
The ticket that I'm going to put on here is the outfit that we bought the bus ticket from,
right,
and the price that we paid. And it ended up being like a 5-hour trip. I think there's a couple of different routes you can go, right?
Yes, there's one that's supposed to be 5, and we were actually on one that was supposed to be like 3.5.
3.5 hours?
So we took the one that was going to be shorter, but it also went through a couple of national parks, and it was even with some overcast and some fog, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
However, you know, you're in an area where you can have landslides. The roads are not, you know, we're not talking about 4 lanes wide.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about 2 lanes.
And you're going slow sometimes and creeping around turns,
Yeah.
creeping and crawling, going slow. And then sometimes you're going a lot faster than you think you should be going. And
These
everyone
bus
else
rides,
is going faster and just whipping right outside the window.
These drivers are talented. I think you're supposed to leave at 11:10, and it was 11:20. And then we got there. We got to Cuenca's bus station at almost 4.
Yeah, so like a 5-hour trip.
Yeah.
And we had like 45 minutes.
3-hour tour.
You know, 45 minutes where we were just sitting still on the road.
Yeah.
And people were getting off the bus, and people in cars around us were getting out. Everybody was trying to figure out what was going on ahead.
Sure.
But it was some kind of accident or landslide or something. But I think that is not uncommon.
Sure.
You
Again,
know, we had
travel
read
day.
that,
Yeah.
and it happened. Now, as far as the seating assignments go, you know, like I said, we had booked like seats 1 and 2 or whatever. But we got on the bus, and, you know, right off the bat, somebody's sitting in our seats, and we're just kind of like showing them our ticket, like, oh, blah, blah. And they looked at us like we were crazy, and so we just sat in the next seats over. And it didn't really matter, because the assigned seat thing, there was no such thing, because every time the bus would stop, people would just get on. And people didn't have tickets, so people would get on, and they'd just go sit wherever they wanted to sit, wherever was available. And then the bus driver, or the assistant to the bus driver, because there was the guy that was driving, and then there was another fellow up front, and he was kind of going around and picking up money from people that were getting on the bus, you know, sort of selling them tickets.
And he was also coordinating the vendors getting on and off, and he was doing several things. And he would wipe off the windshield if condensation was hitting, because we were changing elevation.
Yeah, it was an interesting system, and it was a fun trip. And there was a bathroom on the bus, which was super duper, because, you know, I didn't know how long it was going to be, and I didn't know when they were going to be stopping, you know, and I'm at an age where I'm just saying, you know, for 6 hours, I don't want to be I don't want to not be speaking the language and have to go to the bathroom and be in the middle of the hinterlands and the Andean mountains with a full bladder on a strange bus. So I was happy to see that there was a bathroom, but you don't want to go in that bathroom and use that bathroom unless the bus is at a standstill. So I did go during the trip, which was nice to have that relief, you know.
Thanks for that.
The bus was at a complete standstill when I did that, because I don't think you would want to do that with that bus in motion, because it'll be like one of the Farrelly Brothers films. You'll go in there and then you'll come out of it, and it'll look like you've been slimed, and you know, who knows what it'll look like.
All right. But the bottom line is, taking a bus from
Guayaquil
to Cuenca,
and that's one of the reasons we flew into Guayaquil. We knew we were going to Cuenca, and it's a shorter bus trip from Guayaquil to Cuenca. Now, you might encounter some difficulties along the way, you know, because of problems on the road. But I was just talking to the lady that's helping me with my Spanish here in Cuenca, and she was telling me that there's a pretty big landslide right now between Quito and Cuenca. So that, you know, that route there, which is already longer, you could experience the same kind of delays on that route. You know, and it's already an 8 or 9 hour drive or something. I'm not sure, but it's longer than Guayaquil to Cuenca.
Even with the chaos at the bus station, it was less waiting than you have to have at the airports, and it was relaxing. It was fun.
Yeah, we were happy with the bus trip.
Yeah.
And for less than $20, and it was an interesting experience. And I mean, the views were just fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, it was really a wonderful ride, although certainly sometimes you couldn't see because there were fog and clouds and with the rain. So, I mean, you're definitely going to encounter some different scenery and some different weather. You're climbing up from sea level up to over 8,000 feet. I think maybe even over 9,000 feet, because I think you may go higher in the bus going through the mountain passes and through the park, and then you actually go back down a little bit to get to Cuenca. Mm-hmm. So it's quite a ride, and it worked out for us. Key to travel in Ecuador, especially on buses, is to not have expectations. Just go and figure, hey, I'm going to spend $20 and I'm going to have an adventure. Okay. But it was intimidating when we first got to the bus station.
That was $20 for 2 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you can't beat that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's it. That was our bus trip. So we hope you enjoyed the footage. Lots of videos coming up from Cuenca. So that's in the pipeline. Thanks for watching our stuff. I'll have links down below to some stuff we talked about in the video, things you can check out. We got a Patreon if you want to support us over there. You can buy us a cup of coffee on our PayPal link. Any of that stuff. Just like it and share it and do all that jazz. It really helps us out. And we appreciate you watching. And we'll see you next time on the road, blah, blah, blah. What a week ending.
Well, that's a week ending.
It was. Let's just say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.